Hare Krishna. A very warm welcome to all of you for joining us again today for this Bhagavad Gita study circle. So, since last 1 year, we have been discussing Bhagavad Gita verse after verse, and we have completed 3 chapters. The very first chapter, when we saw that Arjuna was confused about his duties, it is called Observing the Armies on the Battlefield. Prabhupada titled it like that. And then we saw there are some very interesting questions and very profound arguments Arjuna puts forward in front of Krishna as to why he doesn't want to fight. And then, as a result of those questions, we also saw that how Krishna very beautifully explained in the second chapter about the Atmajnana, about what is the self, what are the characteristics of the self, and many more things like that. And in the third chapter, which was titled as Karma Yoga, so in Karma Yoga, there were again a lot of interesting concepts that we discussed about yajna, about the qualities of leader, about Varna Sankara, we have discussed a little bit. Then we also understood the karma, the yajna cycle, and just before Krishna ended chapter 3, the Karma Yoga, he very beautifully explained the 3 very possible ways where the enemy sits, the positions where the enemy sits. That's the senses, the mind, and the intelligence. He very clearly explained that the greatest enemy that we all can have is our own lust. So many a times it so happens that we don't really understand that who is our enemy. Many people till date they think that the enemy is external, but the real enemy is within, who actually instigates each one of them. And there are so many problems in this world because of that enemy called karma, lust. So after listening to this whole karma yoga section and the portion, now Arjuna must be thinking that, okay, Krishna, all right, you have said so many things about karma yoga, but is this knowledge something you spoke spontaneously? Is it that you spoke this on the go, that because I'm here on the battlefield last? That's not the case. It's not that Krishna has spoken this knowledge for the first time. He has spoken it previously also. And that's what he is in chapter 4. And then let's begin our while I will share the shlokas. So all right. So just give me a moment. Yeah. Great. So let's begin. Let's start our study of Bhagavad Gita today with the invocation prayers like we do every Sunday. Again, I dedicate this session to my beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. Read and understand Bhagavad Gita, discuss Bhagavad Gita through his purports that he has written in Bhagavad Gita as it is. So kindly join your palms and please repeat after me the Pranama mantras. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So wonderful. So let me switch my screen and yes. So like I mentioned earlier that we have already covered few very interesting chapters and we are right now in chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. So this chapter is called Jnana Yoga. Like I had mentioned earlier that we have this whole Bhagavad Gita called as, it is referred as the Yoga Shastra. It is a scriptural, a wonderful scripture which is all about yoga. All the 18 chapters which are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita are related to yoga. Why? Because each and every chapter, the ultimate intention is to connect ourselves with the Supreme Lord, and that is Krishna. So here, interestingly, in chapter 4, Krishna is going to highlight the importance of Jnana Yoga. So in the previous chapter, he has explained about Karma Yoga and what is Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga, we have understood in detail. But here in this chapter 4, he is going to stress as to how knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, Adhyatmic Jnana, is so very important and creates a wonderful foundation for our spiritual growth. So without Jnana, we will not be able to understand the principles, the tattva of our existence and about the existence of God and our relationship with God. So that's why the tattva jnana is extremely important. And that is what Krishna is going to mention here. He is going to stress this point that how tattva jnana is a foundation for all of us for spiritual growth. So I welcome everyone here on YouTube, also all the audience, and you can please say Hare Krishna and make your presence felt. And my devotees here on StreamYard also, who have joined us here. So very nice and glad to have you all. So when we say transcendental knowledge, the title is transcendental knowledge. Like in the previous session also we had discussed what is transcendental. Transcendental means anything above and beyond the three modes, sattva, rajas and tamas, or anything above and beyond the material nature is called transcendental. So this spiritual knowledge, this adhyatmic jnana is above and beyond the material realms, the material influence. So this jnana that we are going to get is not an ordinary jnana. One reason is because Krishna, the supreme person who himself is beyond the three modes, is speaking this knowledge. Krishna is transcendental, and anything that he speaks, anything that comes out of his mouth is also transcendental. So here Krishna is going to explain to us that what is this transcendental knowledge. So the very first person today who had joined was Uma Kumar. You can unmute yourself and let me display the screen and you
Okay,
can
Guruji.
chant it loudly. All right. I hope now the screen will be visible to you. So
Yes, Guruji.
please repeat. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Imam Vivasvate Yogam
Imam Vivasvate Yogam
Proktavan Avyayam
Proktavanah Aham Avyamam
Vivaswan Manave Praha
Manan Me Praha
Manorikshva Kave Brave.
Shvaka Brevate
Once again, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Imam Vivasvate Yogam
Imam Vivasvate Yogam
Proktavan Avyayam
Proktavanaham Avyavam
Vivaswan Manave Praha
Manave Praha
Manorikshva Kave Brave.
Shvaka Brevahe.
Wonderful. Please repeat the translation. I think you can read it by yourself. We can all listen to your reading.
The Blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable sense of yoga to the sun god Vivasan, and Vivasan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku.
Thank you so much. You can mute yourself. Thank you very much. So, a very interesting shloka. So here Krishna is saying, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Imam Vivasvate Yogam. So, Vivasvan, Imam Vivasvate. So, who is this Vivasvan? Let us understand. So, we have many misconceptions about the universe because we are reading it from the scientific books that we have studied in our school. So here we are going to break some of the myths that we have carried. So Vivasvan is the sun god. Now you must be wondering, oh, what is this? There is something called a sun god also? Yes, there is sun god. Each planet is actually governed and ruled by a personality. This is unknown to modern science. Many scientists, they believe that sun is actually a star. We all have studied that sun is a star. But according to the Vedic scripture, the Vedic cosmology, sun is not a star. It is not a nakshatra. It is a graha. It is one of the planet. And this planet is actually governed by sun god. And the name of this sun god is Vivasvan. Just see. So this knowledge, Krishna is saying, I first spoke this knowledge to Vivasvan. So if Arjuna was thinking that, oh, it's maybe spontaneous that Krishna is speaking this knowledge, karma yoga on the battlefield, no. It is not like that. So to clarify that doubt, Here Krishna is specifically saying that I spoke this knowledge first to Vivaswan, who is the sun god. Now you can imagine how old is this knowledge. This karma yoga is not an ordinary knowledge. This knowledge was spoken way beyond, since the time the sun was created. Now, very interestingly, now you see, sun is one who gives us heat and light. Now, light is many times referred to as knowledge also, right? So, knowledge and light, they are sometimes used in the same phrases, because wherever there is light, there is knowledge. So, that's why we say, Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanan Janashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, Om Ajnana Timirandasya, that Timirandasya, that ignorance, darkness will be removed with Jnana, the Divya Jnana. So, Krishna had spoken this way beyond to Vivaswan. So, in the Purusha Sukta also, it is very nicely said that how Chakshuryo Ajayata, Chakshuryo Ajayata. So Surya is actually Chakshuhu. Chakshuhu means the eye of the Lord is the sun. So once when Prabhupada was walking on the beach with the morning, with his devotees, with his disciples. So on the morning walk, so the sun was rising very beautifully, and then all the disciples told that oh, Prabhupada, see, the sun is rising so beautifully. They could see it on the horizon. And Prabhupada said, yes, this is actually the eye of Krishna. Actually, the sun represents the eye of Krishna. So, this knowledge was spoken to Vivaswan, who is actually the sun god. So, now this, you can imagine how old is this knowledge. It is close to about, as per the calculation that Prabhupada has mentioned in the purports, it is about 12 crores, 4 lakh years approximately. So this knowledge was spoken to sun god about 12 crore 4 lakh years. That's what the number Prabhupada has given in the purport. It's quite big number. So many years ago, this knowledge was spoken. Now, Krishna is also saying, Proktavan aham avyayam. This knowledge is avyayam. Avyayam means imperishable. This knowledge cannot be destroyed. This is absolute knowledge. It is the knowledge which will not change. It is not like something we tell today and tomorrow is going to change. No, this is avyayam knowledge. This knowledge cannot be destroyed at any point of time. Divya Jnana is again transcendental. It is beyond the effect of time. So that is why this knowledge cannot be destroyed. So that's why very interesting word, avyayam, it cannot be destroyed. Vivaswan manave prahaha. So here, Krishna is saying that once I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, he in turn gave this knowledge to his son Manu. Now Manu is a position. Manu is a position. Can anyone guess? Can anyone guess who is the current Manu? Many times when you go to the temples and you do the sankalpa and you keep your hands on the sankalpa plate, which is filled with the flowers, the pujari, he will also ask you your gotra and your nakshatra. At the same time, he will also ask which Manu. Yes, here Hina Mataji, she is right. She is the first one to give the right answer. So she deserves applause here. Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. So it is Vaivasvata Manu. So the son of Vaivaswan is Vaivasvata Manu. His actual name is also called Shraddha Deva. In the Bhagavatam, his real name or another name of this Manu is also Shraddha Deva. But since he is the son of Vivaswan, his name is Vaivasvata Manu. So in the day of Brahma, which is about 12 hours, in the span of 12 hours of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And Vaivasvata Manu is actually the 7th Manu. So we are right now ruled or governed by Vaivasvata Manu. We are in the time frame of Vaivasvata Manu. So this knowledge which was spoken to Vivaswan, he in turn spoke it to Manu, and Manu is also called as the father of mankind. You know, if you go to Manu's Samhita, so the word man, English word man, is also derived from Manu. So we are all descendants of this Manu. So now Manu in turn, he gave this knowledge to his son Ikshvaku. So Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. It is said that Ikshvaku king is actually the king of the Surya dynasty or the Solar dynasty. We have Chandra Vamsha and Surya Vamsha. So the king of Ikshvaku, this Surya Vamsha, is Ikshvaku. That's why even Lord Rama, he is considered to be the descendant of Ikshvaku. He is the 67th king in the Surya Sampradaya or the Surya Vamsha. So now, Manur Ikshvakave Bravit. So Ikshvaku is the grandson of Vivaswan. So this is very nicely understood by all of us. So interestingly now, this knowledge which is avyayam, it is imperishable, was nicely handed over from one person to another person. This is how the knowledge transfer was happening. Now it's very clear to us that the beginning of human beings was since time immemorial. So this very clearly defeats the bogus theory of Darwin. Now we have all understood the Darwin's evolutionary theory. So here with this shloka, Krishna is smashing the bogus Darwin's theory. Now Darwin was thinking that Darwin told that life evolved because of some chemical combination. You see, he told that okay, there are some chemicals which came together. There was some that material chemical soup, and there was the environment which was created, and that is how the life evolved. But here Krishna is saying that nothing like that kind of thing has happened. Here Krishna is saying that all the 84 lakh species which are mentioned in scriptures were simultaneously created and were simultaneously existing. It's not that one thing evolved to another. You know, it is Darwin's theory is so stupid. Like it is like saying that there was a 2 BHK home which converted itself or transformed itself into a 3 BHK, and then that 3 BHK became a villa, and then that villa became into a bungalow. Is it possible like that? Nothing of that sort will ever happen. All this, a 2 BHK will never become 3 BHK and then a villa or a bungalow. So similarly, it's not that one species became another species. All the species were simultaneously existing, just like 2 BHK, 3 BHK, villa and a bungalow, an apartment. All of them are simultaneously existing, but it depends on how much currency, how much rent can you pay, how much money do you have, right? So based on that, you will occupy whether it's a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK based on your currency. So similarly, you can occupy a certain body out of 84 lakh species based on your karma currency. So based on whatever karma, punya, papa, all those things you have accumulated over a period of time, of lifetimes, that will give you a certain type of body. So here Krishna is very interestingly, nicely saying that all of these wonderful knowledge was already given to the sun god. It is not a new knowledge, and that's how it becomes very clear to us that this bogus Darwin's theory of evolution is smashed very nicely, because all the 84 lakh species were simultaneously existing. So very interestingly, one more important thing or word that Krishna uses in this verse is that here Prabhupada is saying in the purports the role of the king. Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport very nicely that human life is meant for cultivation of spiritual knowledge in eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the executive heads of all states and all planets are obliged to impart this lesson to the citizens by education, culture, and devotion. So nice, so beautifully Prabhupada is explaining this. Just see. So Prabhupada is saying that all the executive heads, the leaders of the society, the kings, are supposed to actually pass on this knowledge to the descendants, to the praja. So this is the role of a king, a very important role of a king. But that, unfortunately, we don't find in today's world. Kings are the influencers, right? In the previous chapter, we had come across a very wonderful shloka. Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat tat evetaro janaha. All the praja, the common man, follows the leaders. So Prabhupada is explaining again, stressing upon the point that how this knowledge was actually given to very intelligent people and influencing people, very influential people, like the kings. So this knowledge, although we do not discriminate, but still this knowledge was given to kings because they are the one who can influence people. If you see Buddhism was not very great or very popular when Buddha came and he started this Buddhism. No, Buddhism became very famous only when Siddhartha, he took it up very seriously. And then later on, as a king, when Ashoka, he propagated this knowledge to everyone and Buddhism became very popular. Even Christianity, after Christ, it is not that immediately Christianity spread. It's only when the Roman king, he took it up very seriously, Christianity, he adopted Christianity, and that's when the whole Christianity spread across the world. Even just about 500 years ago, we saw that how when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, there was this king of Odisha, this Prataprudra, King Prataprudra. He was a very ardent devotee of Lord Chaitanya, and he became a Vaishnava, and through his influence, he could spread this knowledge to all the people, his praja. In fact, if you go to Manipur, Manipur is considered to be the Vaishnava state. You know why it is Vaishnava state? Even now, if you go to Manipur, you will see people, the common man wearing tilak and most of them wearing dhoti and kurta. And they constantly have evening programs where they discuss about Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Manipur is actually a Vaishnava state. And how it all became possible? It's because the king of Manipur, the disciples of one of the Goswami, Jiva Goswami, when he went to Assam and he preached this Krishna consciousness, the king got so much influenced with this knowledge that he converted all his praja. And today, that's why we see, if you step into Manipur, you will see so many Vaishnavas there, especially that Assam region. And if you go to Manipur, most of them are all Vaishnavas. It's because of the king. So that's the influence that the kings have. So it's very important we give this knowledge to the leaders of the society. In fact, Prabhupada also was very happy to meet the leaders of the society. If you see majority of his conversations and room meetings, if you see so many leaders used to come and meet Prabhupada, and anytime a disciple gets a leader of the society, Prabhupada was very happy because Prabhupada, although he started this movement with the hippies, now there is no discrimination. But still, Prabhupada was not limiting only to hippies because Prabhupada also never wanted this knowledge to be only limited to the hippies. Now, it's good that hippies came and they joined the movement, but Prabhupada also was looking at intellectual people, the influential people, because this knowledge is a very great knowledge. Krishna explains in the 9th chapter, Rajavidya Rajaguhyam. This is Rajavidya. It's the king of knowledge. And kings rightly deserve to know Bhagavad Gita. In fact, I was very happy today, this morning, when I was just going through the news. I heard that there are some satellites which are launched recently, and Bhagavad Gita is going to be digitalized and made available to many people. So just this morning, I got this news. When my father was looking at the TV channel, I just overheard that Bhagavad Gita is going to be digitalized. So that's very interesting and wonderful, you see. So now this preaching, when we preach, when we speak this Bhagavad Gita, it's important as preachers, we also give this knowledge to some intellectual peoples because they can understand, not just understand, they can apply this knowledge and then they also influence others. So, this Bhagavad Gita study, although it is for your self knowledge, you are developing yourself and becoming pure by understanding this knowledge, but I personally expect all of you to start speaking this Bhagavad Gita to your friends and to your relatives, because then you will become expert in applying this knowledge very easily. And you will also please Krishna, because Krishna in the 18th chapter is going to explain and he's going to say that anybody who preaches this message of Bhagavad Gita is very dear to me. Now, what more can we do? It's so simple. If we want to please Krishna, just speak Bhagavad Gita to your friends and relatives. That's amazing, you see. So this is a great opportunity for all of us. Understand, read, and then give it to others. Understand, read, and give it to others. So wonderful. And especially you're all in your own capacity. You're all leaders to some extent. You all have your family and friends. Say, today I'm here in my sister's place, and they're all listening to this Bhagavad Gita session. So they're also doing some Shravanam. They have got this opportunity to understand a little bit of Bhagavad Gita, you see. So this is a very interesting thing. You will also enjoy and start adopting this knowledge, right? So this is what Krishna is explaining here. And by the way, we should not, just to clarify, we should not think that, oh, is it only meant for the intellectuals and influencing people? No, it's not true. Vedic knowledge is for everyone, irrespective of his caste, creed, his color. It really doesn't matter. It is independent of all these things. But many people, they also have this notion, you see, they think that, oh, ISKCON means it's only for people who are educated or people who are financially good, or they are very influential. People have some misconceptions like that. In no ISKCON temple, you will see anybody or the security guard holding a board and saying that only those who are educated, only those who have some, graduation certificate, you are allowed, the rest are not allowed. No, nothing of that sort. But yes, we consciously make an effort to reach out to the intellectual people like all of you, is because if you can take it, you can tell it to 10 more people. Not everybody will have this capacity to speak about Bhagavad Gita. But there are many people who can take prasadam, who can sing and chant and dance, and they can still get the same benefit. They can do Archa Vigraha and still get the same benefit. But when it comes to knowledge, especially philosophical knowledge, it requires a certain intellectual thinking. So that's why we take certain approaches where we can reach out to more intellectual people. That's the only thing. So this is what Krishna has explained in this particular shloka chapter 4, shloka 1. And there are many more beautiful things. I really want all of you to read the purports of Prabhupada in this chapter, so that you also get a better understanding of what is being discussed here. So with this, let's go to the next shloka, and I request Vinodji to unmute yourself, and you can chant the shloka, Vinodji, and let me display the shloka to you. All right, very nice. So here we go. Evam parampara praptam.
एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम्
Imam rajarshayo viduhu.
इमं राजर्षयो विदुः
Sakale neha mahata.
सकालेन महता
Yogo nashta parantapa.
योगो नष्ट परन्तप.
Wonderful. Once again. Evam parampara praptam.
एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम्
Imam rajarshayo viduhu.
इमं राजर्षयो विदुः
Sakale neha mahata.
सकालेन महता
Yogo nashta parantapa.
yogo nashtata parampata.
Once again. Okay. You please read the translation by yourself.
Yeah, this supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciple succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science, as it appears, to be lost.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. So this is also a very interesting shloka and a very important shloka. Now, there are many beautiful points which are explained in this. Evam parampara praptam. So, Krishna is saying that although I gave this knowledge to Vivaswan, and then he gave it to Manu, and then he gave to Ikshvaku, but in the due course of time, by the force of time, this knowledge was yogo nashtaparantapa. It was scattered. This knowledge was scattered to the extent where the intent was lost. So, in the previous shloka, Krishna explained that this knowledge avyayam. Avyayam means imperishable. But in the very next verse, in the second verse, Krishna is saying yogo nashta parantapa. Now it may seem very contradictory. You may think that what is this? In the previous shloka is that it is imperishable, but right now again in the very next verse is saying yogo nashta parantapa, that this knowledge was lost. So actually it is not that this knowledge was lost, but the intent of this knowledge was lost. See, the message of this knowledge was lost. So that is the problem. So, and how the intent and the message of the Gita or the message of the Vedic knowledge was lost, it's because of sakalene hamahata. It's because of the effect of the time, the force of the time. Now, very interesting point here is evam parampara praptam. Parampara. Parampara means disciplic succession. In the disciplic succession is how we are supposed to receive this Vedic knowledge. This is the standard way of accepting knowledge. That's why in the previous one of the session I had mentioned about the importance of Shabda Pramana. Shabda Pramana means hearing it from the authorities, receiving knowledge from the authorities in the Vedic scriptures, in the Vedic knowledge. So we have to receive this knowledge in a disciplic succession. Why it is to be received in the disciplic succession? Very important. Now just imagine, all of you, there is a mango tree and there is a very nice ripe mango on the top branch of the mango tree. Now the topmost branch has a very ripe mango, and now imagine if the mango directly falls onto the ground, what will happen to the mango? You know, the mango, since it's ripe, it will break and it will get mixed with the dust. Will you be able to relish the mango? No, you'll not be able to relish the mango completely because it's all dirt now. It's all filled with the mud and all those things. But imagine if the same mango is nicely plucked and then from one branch to another branch is passed on from one person to another person, and then finally somebody offers it to you, then you can taste the mango as it is, without any adulteration or without any mixture with the dust and all those things, right? So that's the importance. So when it is nicely passed on from branch to branch, you will receive the mango as it is. So similarly, just like the mango, this Bhagavad Gita is actually a ripened mango. This knowledge is a ripened mango of the Vedas. And when it is coming in a parampara from one acharya to another acharya, and then finally you receive this knowledge, then you will get it as it is. But if you receive this knowledge from someone else who is not in the parampara, then it's very dangerous. Then you will not actually get the right message of the Bhagavad Gita. You will still see, oh, it's Bhagavad Gita, but when you hear it from a person, a wrong person who is not an acharya, then there is a problem. You will not be able to get the right understanding. Just like the milk. If milk is pure, but if milk is tasted by a snake, it will still look like a milk. But if you drink that milk which is tasted by a snake, you will die. So similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is very pure like milk. But if it is coming out from the mouth of a person who is not in the parampara, then there are so many misconceptions that will come about. And there are people today who are so confused about the Bhagavad Gita. It's because there is nobody who is giving them the right knowledge. Nobody, or most of them, from where they listen, the sources from whom they listen is improper, and they're not coming in the parampara. Now you may think, Prabhuji, what are the parampara? I mean, where do we find this parampara? So now there are actually 4 authorized parampara. You see, there is, if at all you want to receive this knowledge, there is Brahma Sampradaya, there is Sri Sampradaya, there is Kumara Sampradaya, and there is Rudra Sampradaya. So Brahma Sampradaya is actually headed by Brahma. Then there is Sri Sampradaya. Sri is actually Lakshmi Devi. So she is heading this parampara. Parampara that was started by Lakshmi Devi herself, Sri Sampradaya. If you go to South India, you will see all the big temples managed by the Sri Vaishnavas, who have this big white tilak and the center right. You know, they put the stick. So big tilaks they have, the Sri Vaishnavas. So that is Sri Sampradaya. Then Kumara Sampradayas. The 4 sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, they also started a parampara that's called the Kumara Sampradaya. And we also have Rudra Sampradaya, starting from Rudra, that is Shiva, who is actually the greatest of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnava Nam Hi Yata Shambhu. The greatest Vaishnava is the Vaishnava that is Shiva. So that is Rudra Sampradaya. Now, if you want to understand knowledge of the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita, you are supposed to receive knowledge in a parampara. It's not that we read it ourselves and then I understand it by myself and I will become an acharya. It's not like that. Just like if you have finished your 12th standard, right? If anybody gets, he completes his pre-university, the next thing is he wants to go for a graduation and he wants to either take it MBBS or engineering or whatever he wants. So it's not that, okay, now I have finished my pre-university, I have finished my 12th, I will take the textbooks of engineering and I will read myself and I will become an engineer. No, you will not do like that. In fact, even if you do that, you may be quite intelligent, competent, but you will not be authorized as an engineer. You will not be authorized as a doctor. You need to do a lot of research. Actually, many people do research before they join a particular college. Oh, this is the college that I want. This is how I want the students to be there. There are so many parameters that you look into. And then after getting all the variables properly, understanding the variables properly, then you go and take up a particular college, right? So similarly, we also need to have a parampara system, because when you get this knowledge from the parampara, you will be authorized. What you speak will be authorized. It is not concocted. It is, you're not going to misrepresent the Bhagavad Gita and the Shastras, right? So that's why this is called as the GPS system, the Guru Parampara system. Just like we have the Guru Parampara, the GPS, while you're going from one place to another place, if you want to reach a particular destination, you have the Google lady constantly speaking, right? Take left, take right. And if you take a wrong route, then she'll again say, no, you have to reroute, and I'm recalculating. And then after recalculation, again, she will give you the proper direction. That's how you keep going. Through the help of the GPS lady, you reach the destination. If from one destination to another destination, if you need the GPS lady, then just imagine you want to go from the material world to the spiritual world, which is the ultimate destination. Don't you think that you need an acharya? Yes, we all need an acharya, right? And especially when we are going to it's a long path. But if you want to go, then you need a proper direction. And many times it so happens that we are going in a route, we are all studying Bhagavad Gita, we want to reach that destination, spiritual world, but then you may actually get deviated. There are so many disturbances, family problems, relationship problem, work problem, so many mental problem, intellectual problems. Problems will come and it can deviate you. So that's why when you actually get deviated, you need a guru who can tell you that, okay, now you please reroute and recalculate all those problems, and then you again come back on track and then start moving forward. So we need a guru parampara to understand this. Without the GPS system, you cannot reach the destination. But then there are so many people today who are all writing commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. And there are about more than 800, 900 commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. Can you understand this? Any Tom, Dick and Harry is writing commentary on the Bhagavad Gita and become famous. And they're writing, oh, it's my Gita. And one of such a crazy person is that, that Devdutt Patnaik, although I should not mention, but then it is so disturbing to read the translations of his Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures. He will take Ramayana, he'll write it Sita, he will tell Jaya on Mahabharata, and such vulgar language that he uses to represent our own culture, and people, especially youngsters, they're falling prey to such writers. I mean, it's such a crazy thing. We as Vaishnavas, as devotees, should not tolerate such things. So people are reading all this dirt, garbage from such authors, and they are getting big positions in some corporates to direct and all such things, and people are listening from them. Just see, so many misleaders are there, and there are so many great people. They may be great in their own terms, but they have written commentaries of the Bhagavad Gita, and they say that Bhagavad Gita is a book of ahimsa. It's a book of non-violence. Now, here, that's not the ultimate message of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not the ultimate message of the Bhagavad Gita is not non-violence. Although ahimsa is a great quality that Krishna is going to explain in one of the chapters, he's saying that is the quality of a devotee, of a Brahmana. A Brahmana is by nature very non-violent, and we need to adopt that particular quality in us. But that's not the ultimate message of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is here saying, you please fight, Arjuna, you have to fight. Now, if this is one extreme, the another extreme of understanding Bhagavad Gita is there are people who say that, yes, we need to fight. We need to go and fight with this Pakistanis and Chinese and finish them and defeat them and take their property. And such people are also there who tell that, oh, those who do not follow Bhagavad Gita, they don't fight. But if you are following Bhagavad Gita, you should actually invade the China and Pakistan and kill them. Such extreme understanding is also there. No, now Bhagavad Gita is not going to that extreme, that it's not propagating violence also. So Bhagavad Gita is speaking about the topmost dharma. And that essence of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only when you receive this knowledge in a parampara. The intent of the Bhagavad Gita can be understood only when it is received in a proper parampara. That's why we need this GPS system, the Guru Parampara system. Extremely important. And now you must be wondering, Prabhuji, you are speaking about all this. What about ISKCON? You are speaking about Bhagavad Gita. Do you belong to any parampara? Absolutely. So now, if you actually take the Bhagavad Gita and the last page of the Bhagavad Gita, the introduction, Prabhupada has given the Guru Parampara system, the complete Guru Parampara, list of all the acharyas in the lineage. So ISKCON, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, which is founded by Prabhupada, is actually coming in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. It is under the Brahma Sampradaya, and Brahma Sampradaya is what Madhvacharya also followed. And in the same lineage, the Guru Parampara of Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, and we are, since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is from West Bengal, and that's the lineage Prabhupada is coming in that lineage of Gaudiya, because Gauda Desha, it's called Gauda, Bengali is called Gauda Desha. So because it is coming from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we call this as Dhamma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita should be understood properly in this GPS system, Guru Parampara system. And that's exactly why Prabhupada, he actually wrote this Bhagavad Gita as Bhagavad Gita as it is, or Bhagavad Gita Yata Rupa. He said that this Bhagavad Gita is actually representing the correct intent of Krishna. Now, it's an amazing thing. Never in the history of India, never in the history of spirituality, you will ever see any Bhagavad Gita which has transformed so many millions of lives. This Bhagavad Gita, as it is, has actually made so many people attracted towards Krishna consciousness. It has brought so many people close to Krishna. Now, no doubt, there are many great acharyas who have written Bhagavad Gita, like Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya. There is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in our own parampara. There are many great acharyas who have written commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita, all Vaishnava acharyas. But this Bhagavad Gita, Yata Rupa, written by Prabhupada, has actually created a revolution in the history of spirituality. Now, there are so many people who have taken up seriously the study of Bhagavad Gita because of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. In fact, this Bhagavad Gita as it is referred, or it is considered to be a standard textbook for religious studies in most of the universities, the Ivy League universities, for religious studies. So it's not an ordinary thing. Now, we have come across such a great person like Prabhupada who has given us this wonderful knowledge. This Bhagavad Gita is so popular because of the purity of Prabhupada. It's not ordinary. Day and night, he used to be constantly translating Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, sleeping just for 2 hours in a day. Night he used to wake up and translate all these books for all of us so that we can benefit. And constantly he was meeting people, meetings after meetings, guiding the disciples, writing letters. I mean, he has written 10,000 letters. Can you imagine in 60s and 70s when there was no internet and emails? Imagine if there were emails by then, Prabhupada would have really bombarded. He would have captured the world. There was no Instagram, no Facebook. He used to personally write letters and then send it across through mail to different parts of the world and guiding his disciples. So much of sacrifice is gone to build this whole movement. It's not ordinary. So there is so much that Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita has done. I just remembered one I want to share with all of you, that once, this Bhagavad Gita as it is, we generally during December we do book distribution. Devotees, they go out on the streets and they distribute books, a lot of books to people. And you must have seen sometimes in the railway stations, in the VT station, or maybe in the Chembur and all those in local trains, you'll see devotees actually giving out this Bhagavad Gita and many Prabhupada books. So there was this one couple who also had a daughter, and as a team, they were actually distributing books. And it so happened that they also were visiting the motels in UK, and they used to give these books, especially Bhagavad Gita, to the motels, because in the motels, there is a culture. Many motels, they have church, they have this Bible. So these devotees were thinking, why not also have the Bhagavad Gita? And they used to get big orders also, because about 30-40 rooms, and they used to at once give 30-40 Bhagavad Gitas. So once they were trying to meet a particular manager of a hotel, I think it was Ramada Inn in London, I guess, and they were trying to talk to this manager, and the assistant was quite happy to meet and talk to the devotees, this couple and the daughter. But the manager somehow, he was not very keen on this. But then one fine day, the manager himself, he calls this couple and the daughter, and he He says that I have something very important to share. Why don't you get all the Bhagavad Gita copies to my hotel and let's meet? So they were quite excited and they started taking whatever number of books they could have, and they went to this hotel for a meeting. And this manager, who was actually not very keen, he told them that one fine day, this Bhagavad Gita, one of the copy, was kept on the reception desk. And one very disturbed customer, a very annoyed customer, in a hurry, he just took the key, and along with the key, he took this Bhagavad Gita and he went into the room. And then the next morning, this very disturbed customer, he comes down with the Bhagavad Gita and he says that, can I know more about this book? Where can I get this? And so many things he started asking. And then the manager said, yes, I can help you. But what happened? Then this disturbed customer, he says that actually I came to this hotel because I wanted to commit suicide. But after reading this book, I changed my mind. Otherwise, last night I would actually hung myself and I would have died. So there are many such instances where this Bhagavad Gita has changed people's life. There are so many things, so many such pastimes that have happened I can share. So it's very powerful, very interesting, and we should never give up on Bhagavad Gita. It's very important. So here, let's understand. So Krishna is saying, Evam parampara praptam, imam rajarshayo viduhu. So rajarshayo, Raja Rishi. So what is this rajarshayo, Raja Rishi? You see, Raja and Rishi, they both are very opposite in nature. Raja is the one who takes care of the external world. Most of the times he deals with the external world. His affairs are everything to do with the external world. And Rishi is someone who always deals with the inner world. He is focusing only on the internal affairs of the system, the mind, body, and the intelligence, right? So Rishi is one who is focused inwards, and Raja is someone who is focused outward. So here Krishna is saying Rajarshayo Viduhu. So there are a certain category of people who are called the Rajas and the Rishis, Raja Rishis. These are the people who are expert in external affairs and internal affairs. They are called Raja Rishis. So they know Atma Jnana, they know Vyavaharik Jnana. Both Jnana is there with them, and that's why such expert people are called Raja Rishis. We hardly find Raja Rishis today. They have become extinct. This Raja Rishi, this species is actually extinct now. It's very difficult to get a person who is actually a Raja Rishi, right? So here he's saying Sakalena Hamata. So because of the effect of time, the intent of this knowledge will be lost. And that's what has happened, that I need to reintroduce this knowledge. So Sakalena Hamata, because of the effect of time, the misinterpretations have come. And misinterpretation of the Bhagavad Gita is the greatest offense. It's a very great offense. We should never tolerate this offense. Like I told you earlier, there are so many misinterpretations that have come up. There are people who have written commentaries in the Bhagavad Gita. Most of the commentaries, many commentaries, I should say, were written in the jail by all the freedom fighters. Now, they had nothing to do in the jail, so they had this Bhagavad Gita, and reading the Bhagavad Gita, they started writing their own commentaries. Now, there are some freedom fighters who also have written the commentary saying that, oh, yes, actually, Adharma is the British rule. The British rule is Adharma, and Indian National Congress is actually Krishna. And this Krishna is going to now destroy this Adharma called the British rule from India. Such commentaries are there. Now, what is the situation of Indian National Congress today. So, many such commentaries were written in the jail, and they are all great people. But when it comes to Bhagavad Gita, we cannot take it from anyone. You cannot understand Bhagavad Gita from somebody who is a politician, somebody who is not a devotee, somebody who doesn't understand what is Krishna's tattva. So we have to be extremely careful. We cannot goof up with this. So understanding knowledge in the parampara is extremely important. So just to give you an example now, if there is a person, I have gone to a particular place and I'm speaking in English, and the people there, if they don't understand English, I want to speak Bhagavad Gita, but the people don't understand English. But I have a translator. Now this translator, he knows English and he knows the local language also. So now he can actually help me to translate. So I will speak in English, but the translator's job is to actually convey the same message as I'm speaking. And the people are able to understand my speech based on the translation of that person. Now imagine if the translator, he hears something from me, but he actually screws up the whole translation and he starts giving his own class. Instead of speaking what I spoke, if he starts speaking everything that comes to his mind, it is complete misrepresentation of what I have spoken, the knowledge that I'm sharing. It's a great disservice that that person is doing, right? And now people are thinking, and oh, it's very nice, they're clapping. And I'm also thinking that, oh, yes, people are understanding and they're clapping, but the message gone is completely faulty. Dangerous, right? But now imagine in the audience, if there is a person who understands English, and then he gets up and he says, no, hey, translator, you're speaking something wrong, it's not correct. But then the moment he says that, the other people who are listening in the audience will say, you please shut down. You please shut up, because you don't have to discourage. You have to have the right to be quiet and just listen. You don't disturb us. You see, all such things will come. So we need to be extremely careful about from whom we take this particular knowledge. We need to have a right translator. So if we can have anybody who is coming in the Guru Parampara, following this Parampara system, then the translation is effective. And we have a first-hand experience about this. This Bhagavad Gita as it is has changed so many lives and still continuing to change so many lives. Right? So let us not get into all this other text of Bhagavad Gita. One British scholar, I just remembered, there was this British scholar who started reading Bhagavad Gita, and he was going through translations after translations after translations. And about 100 translations about Bhagavad Gita he read. And finally, you know what this British scholar wrote? He said that Bhagavad Gita is such a profound book that its conclusion is inconclusive. Can you imagine? The conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is inconclusive because he read so many translations, he got confused. But he said that it is very profound, that you can just interpret the way you want. It's not like that. Bhagavad Gita has a very specific defining message, and that message can be understood only when we fall into the category of Arjuna. And let's see what is that category. So I request Hina Mataji to unmute and please repeat this shloka. Let's chant this third shloka and let's see what Krishna is going to speak. Yes. Mataji, is it visible to you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Great. So verse number 3, chapter 4. Saevayam maya tedya
Saivyayam maya tedya
yoga prokta puratanaha
yogah proktah puratanaha
bhaktosi me sakacheti
Bhaktosi me sakha cheti.
Rahasyam hi etaduttamam.
Rahasyam hi eta uttamam.
Once again, Saevayam maya tedya
Sa evayam mahatedya.
yoga prokta puratanaha
Yoga prokta puratanaha.
bhaktosi me sakacheti
Bhaktosi me sakha cheti.
rahasyam hi etaduttamam.
Rahasyam hi etaduttamam.
Yes. Please read the translation, Mataji.
Yeah. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, very nice sloka again. Here, we get a hint as to why Krishna is speaking this knowledge to Arjuna. Sa evayam maya tedya prokta puratana. This ancient knowledge, puratana, this knowledge, bhaktosi me sakacheti. I am speaking this to you, Arjuna, because you are my bhakta, not just bhakta, you are my sakha. You are also my friend. Rahasyam hi etad uttamam. I'm sharing this rahasya, this secret knowledge to you. Of course, it's an open secret. Bhagavad Gita is not a closed secret. So, this knowledge I'm speaking to you because you are my bhakta and you are my sakha. So, this is the qualification if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita. So, we all have to become the bhakta. By practicing bhakti yoga, we will all become bhakta. Not just that, at the same time, we have to become sakha. Very interesting, actually. You see, Sanskrit is a very beautiful language. Here, there are different expressions. When we want to deal with people, when you want to say something, there are different degrees to which we want to express. And that opportunity is there in Sanskrit language. So here, Sakha means a very intimate friend, a very close friend with whom you sit and you eat, you enjoy, you go and probably watch a movie. Of course, Arjuna and Krishna are not going to go and watch a movie, but in Mahabharata, we get hints about how Arjuna and Krishna used to go for hunting in the forest. They together used to go and they used to enjoy hunting. So that's why they are called Sakha, a very intimate relationship they have, right? So now, this Sakha, if he is the intimate friend, the next another level of friendship is also called as Mitra. You know, you must have heard this word Mitra. Mitra also means friend. Mitra means one who expands your limits. No mita. Trayate iti mita. Mitra. So one who actually expands your limits is called Mitra. So how many of you have a Mitra? Is there anyone? Do you have a friend who can actually expand your limits? In fact, we, whether a husband or a wife, we are supposed to be Mitra. We have to be a Mitra with our own children after a certain age and expand their limits. A friend, a Mitra is supposed to expand the limits of another friend. So that is why it's called Mitra. Another is also word for friend is Surat. Suhrat. So many times in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is also going to say this word. He's going to use this word. Surat. Surat means, like the word itself, well-wisher. Prabhupada also, anytime he signs off a letter, he used to say that, oh, your eternal well-wisher, your ever well-wisher. Prabhupada, any letter he used to sign, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So, Prabhupada is our dear friend. He is a surat for all of us. He is a well-wisher for all of us. So, you see here, Krishna is giving the position to Arjuna as a Saka, a very intimate friend. They used to eat together, they used to play together, and we know that Arjuna and Krishna, their age also, there is no much difference. Both of them were contemporaries and of almost the same age. So, that is why I am sharing this knowledge with you. Such an important thing. Now, actually, there is we who are souls, very finite, and there is Supreme Lord who is infinite. We are Anu, he is Vibhu. Now you can imagine something as finite like us, if we want to get infinite knowledge, it is not possible because we are finite. A finite cannot accommodate everything that the infinite has. Infinite is really infinite in every sense. So we cannot accommodate everything within our capacity, but we can. The finite can understand the infinite only when the infinite reveals himself to the finite. So that's exactly what is happening. If you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, the infinite Lord, the limitless Lord, Krishna, has to reveal himself to us who are limited in nature, in capacity, in every sense, intellectual capacity, mental capacity. The infinite has to reveal to us. So, if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, then chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is must. Along with attending the sessions, reading Bhagavad Gita, we need to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is the part of our sadhana. Every day, without missing, we have to contact ourselves with Krishna. When you chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you are actually vibrating Krishna's name, which is non-different. Your tongue is coming in contact with Krishna. Our whole existence is coming in contact with Krishna. So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it's actually coming in contact with Krishna. So when you are in contact with Krishna, you are actually telling Krishna that I am your bhakta. And then you are also telling that, yes, I am also your friend. Then Krishna will say, all right, because you are my bhakta and my friend, now I am going to reveal this knowledge to you. So now the secret is here. If you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, if you are planning to go to the spiritual world, then please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Extremely important. Purity is the force. The more pure our heart becomes, the more Krishna is going to reveal. And these realizations are very unique. Very, very unique. And you will hanker for more. Once you get the realization of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, you want more. You just don't want to stop. So that's the effect that we are all looking for. And I hope that all of you are also looking for that. Right? So just like last time I told you that what would you like to become in the spiritual world? And some of you said that, like Achyutanji said that he wants to become a tree. So I had also asked about others who wanted to become something else. Like I think Uma Kumar said something, and I wanted to be the friend of Krishna in the spiritual world. By the way, we really don't know, but still, when we do this exercise of thinking about the spiritual world and just imagining that, yes, I can be something there, itself is a very nice exercise. Just imagine, you're thinking of being in the spiritual world with Krishna. What an amazing experience it is. Just the thought itself can increase our conviction. That's why I told you to think about it. So now I have the same question to all of you. What do you want to become in the spiritual world? Have you thought about it? Dave had said, no, actually he had not thought about it. So have you thought about what you want to become in the spiritual world? So we understood why Krishna is revealing this, because Arjuna is the Bhakta and the Saka. And Krishna in the 9th chapter again will expand this thought as to why this knowledge is called Rahasyam, why it is Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam. So Hina Mataji is saying, a devotee, Mataji, in the spiritual world, we will be able to enter the spiritual world only when we become a devotee, no doubt about it. But everyone in the spiritual world is a devotee. But what you want to become, like a devotee is also, there is in the Bhagavatam, we have Gajendra. Gajendra is an elephant, he is a devotee. So, like that, what do you want to become? What about Uma Kumar? Dev, did you think? I had given this homework for all of you. What do you want to become in the spiritual world? Although we are not very clear about it, but still you can think. There is nothing wrong in thinking. So Dev is saying, Prabhuji, I want to be I want to become a gopi. So Dev wants to become a gopi and you want to dance with Krishna. Oh my God. So Dev, you better be careful, okay? Because if I am a gopa, then I'm going to tease you a lot there. Because I'll be in the party of Krishna and we are going to break all the milk pots and the butter pots that you're going to carry. So I'm sure that you will be very much annoyed with me there in the spiritual world. So yes, and Uma Kumar says that he wants to become a cow. Okay, good, very nice. So you want to become a surabhi. It's a very powerful position, to be a cow. And there are unlimited cows in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, all the cows are surabhi, which means they give unlimited milk. Here you go to a cow and you ask some milk, it will give you about 2 liters. If it is a Karnataka breed, a Hallikar breed. If you go to maybe Gujarat and get some Gir cow, then it may give you about 7 to 8 liters. But here in the spiritual world, we have Surabhi cows, which will give you unlimited milk. Anytime, 24/7, it gives you milk. In fact, there is so much milk, like, even Krishna, when he was present on this material world in Vrindavan, of course, Vrindavan is not material, but there, when Krishna was born, they used to play Holi and play Holi with not colors, but they used to play Holi with the butter. So much milk was there. Throwing butter at each other. What a wonderful thing. And then when you put it on the mouth, you just take it and lick it and you can enjoy and fill your belly also. What a wonderful game it is to play Holi like that. So in the spiritual world, so Uma Kumar is going to assist Krishna in the form of a cow and he's going to give us a lot of milk and butter. Thank you so much, Uma. We'll all be very healthy there. Thank you. Okay, what about Vinodji? Hina Mataji also has not given any answers still. And also keep thinking about the questions. By the way, today's session, we have some interesting things that we have discussed. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. You can also unmute yourself. That will be really nice.
Guruji,
Yes, Uma Kumar.
how to learn Sanskrit language, Guruji? Is there any proper way to learn like now other languages?
Actually, there is this institution called Sanskrit Bharati. They have their centers across world. They have it in Pune also, I'm sure. They have it in Bangalore, Sanskrit Bharati. They have a systematic course for studying Sanskrit. And although I'm not very great, I'm not an expert in Sanskrit. Just yesterday, there was one girl who called and she was saying that she has a question paper, Sanskrit question paper. Looks like she was a school girl. And she's asking, sir, can you please help me? Now, I'm not an expert. I really cannot do so much. I can read some shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. I know Sanskrit, whatever Prabhupada has given in his books. But I'm not a Pandita of Sanskrit. But you really don't have to understand and learn Sanskrit to know Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. This I have mentioned to Hina Mataji also earlier when she had asked about this. If you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Sanskrit is not a necessity. You can still understand Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam without Sanskrit. But if you know a little bit here and there, it's good, well and good. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada, as painstakingly, has given translation to each and every word. So that itself is good enough for us to know a little bit of Sanskrit. So because it takes time, learning any language, it takes time, and especially Sanskrit, it is something that you should start learning from the childhood. So I think instead of you spending a lot of time, you can invest the same energy and time in your children, and they can learn because now they are quite young. So this is a good time where you can teach your children Sanskrit. And learning Sanskrit will also increase your memory power, by the way. Because the
Okay,
moment you
Guruji.
start chanting the shlokas, the verses, your tongue gets twisted in every direction. Sanskrit is such a beautiful language, and it also helps you increasing your memory power. So that is one thing that you can do.
Okay, Guruji. Thank you, Guruji.
Wonderful. And now here, Vinod Chandanji is saying, I want to be Krishna's flute. That position is already taken, but I'm sure Krishna will be merciful to make you a flute there, and then you can be a flute. Oh, wonderful. What nice. You will be, in fact, many times, Lakshmi Devi also and the gopis are quite jealous about the flute because the flute is constantly touching the lips of Krishna, and the gopis don't like it. They say that how come this flute is so fortunate? They are very jealous about this flute. So Vinodji, you're going to really annoy all the gopis there. So again, it's all very spiritual in the spiritual world. So there is no such thing as envy. There is no such thing as pride and jealousy there, because everyone is really happy to serve Krishna. That's the ultimate thing in the spiritual world. And but good thought. I mean, you're thinking in this way that I'm really happy that you want to become a flute. You will be extremely close to Krishna. Always, you see the images and pictures of Krishna. Krishna, when he goes to the forest, he takes this flute and he keeps it here in the belt. Krishna wears the belt and the flute is always hanging in the belt. You see some of the images of Krishna and you will see the flute here. And after herding the cows in the evening, when they want to come back, so the cows used to all be scattered, and then Krishna, he doesn't have a mobile phone. Krishna's mobile phone is his flute. He just presses all the different holes, which are just like pressing the buttons. The moment he presses those holes and nicely, very melodious music that he creates, all the different cows, the different breeds of cows, they'll all start coming in groups. That's how Krishna calls all the cows, by playing the flute. So very nice, very good thought, Vinodji. Wonderful. So you will assist Krishna in the forest there. Very nice. So Hina Mataji is saying, I'd like to be assistant to Radharani in cooking for Lord Krishna. So that's also very nice. So you know that Radharani never repeats any recipe. Every day, every time she cooks for Krishna, it's a new and new recipe. No recipe is repeated. That's how wonderful cook Radharani is. Radharani never repeats any recipe for Krishna. Krishna is so fortunate to get a newer and newer recipes, items to eat. Wish we had some wives like this, who could cook new and new items for all of us. Isn't it, Vinodji? All those married guys here who are thinking about eating nice food. So Radharani is such a wonderful cook. She cooks so nice, delicious things every day. And here, Hina Mataji wants to be assistant to Radharani in cooking, specifically in cooking, in the kitchen department. And kitchen department is quite a big department, So that's also very nice. It's a very special service that Radharani does to Krishna, and cooking and pleasing Krishna by cooking the food. And if you have to become an assistant of Radharani, what a great service it is. What an amazing thing it is. So that way it will be really pleasing. Actually, the most relished service is actually eating. And if you can please someone, especially devotees, Brahmanas, they say that Brahmanas are very pleased with eating good food stuff. Brahmana bhojana priya, they say. And all the gopas and the gopis and everyone will get the prasadam. Prasadam service is the greatest service. And if you have to become an assistant of Radharani, you are serving all the Vaishnavas, all the friends and relatives of Krishna in the spiritual world. So that's the greatest service actually. So that's also great. So you see, I was just doing this exercise, although we don't know our constitutional position right now, but definitely we all have a spiritual position in the spiritual world. So, but this exercise was to at least start thinking that we are spiritual beings and we belong to the spiritual world. And by the mercy of Prabhupada, our constitutional position will also get revealed to us when we intensify our bhakti. So become bhakta and become the Sakha of Krishna, and we will get this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. The secrets will be revealed. Right now, the rahasya, the constitutional position of whether we are a flute, whether we are a tree, whether we are a cow, whether we are a gopa or a gopi, it's not known to us. But this secret will be revealed to us if we intensify our bhakti. And in this very lifetime, Prabhupada will reveal. So this is what I wanted to share today. We have covered the very first 3 verses of chapter 4, transcendental knowledge. And after listening to this, now Arjuna is going to ask a question, because Arjuna is now thinking, hey Krishna, you are telling that you have spoken this to Sun God. How is it possible? You and I, we are contemporaries. How is it possible that you could have spoken this knowledge to Sun God? So this is the question that Arjuna is going to ask, and let's understand all this and more in the next session. But before I let you all go, okay, Vinodji is saying that I told her to start practicing. So that's good, Vinodji. She better start now and start feeding all of you at home nice, wonderful dishes so that she gets used to it, and then she can assist Radharani better in the spiritual world. And we all can enjoy all the nice foodstuffs there. So yes, Mataji, that's a good thing that you can do. You can start practicing it right away. So that will be a great service. Yes. So before I let you all go, do we have any questions? We have 2 more minutes. So any questions before we end the session? Just because we had 3 verses today, I could not give opportunity to chant to everyone. Achyutanji, although he had joined. Yeah. Yes. Any questions before? Yes. So there are many more beautiful things that are going to come in chapter 4. In fact, some of the very famous and popular verses of Bhagavad Gita are in chapter 4. Like, you see any TV serials, especially Mahabharata, we chant this sloka called Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata. This verse is going to come in chapter 4. Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Dushkritam. This particular verse is going to come in chapter 4. And then verse again 34, where it is said that we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master, that tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So all this very prominent and very interesting shlokas are going to come in chapter 4. So all of you please stay tuned, and we are going to continue this discussion next Sunday again. So all of you, thank you so much for joining here on YouTube as well as on StreamYard. Thank you for joining. And if you have not already heard the previous sessions, you can hear it on YouTube, and also share with everyone else so that they can also listen to the session. And especially those who have not heard the previous sessions, they can, at least from chapter 4, since it's the beginning of chapter 4, they can also start listening to it from now. So that will be really nice. So please take care, and we'll see you again next Sunday. Until then, take care. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.